When my daughter-in-law Claire loudly announced to the entire wedding reception that I should get back to the kitchen where the help belongs, and told security to escort me away from the family table, she had no idea that this supposedly frail 70-year-old retired event planning executive was actually the silent partner who owned 40% of Premier Catering Solutions, the very company providing their $85,000 wedding feast, and that I was about to use 35 years of hospitality industry connections and ironclad vendor contracts to turn their dream reception into the most. Before I tell you how a woman who spent 3.5 decades building the region's most exclusive catering empire used comprehensive vendor relationships and systematic contract enforcement to transform a wedding day humiliation into the most devastating culinary catastrophe in our community's event planning history, tell me in the comments if you've ever been so completely disrespected by someone who didn't realize you controlled the very services they were depending on. And if this story of calculated hospitality justice resonates with you, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow I have another incredible story about why you should never. My name is Eleanor Ellie Blackstone, I'm 70 years old, and I'm about to tell you how my entitled social climbing daughter-in-law Claire, who had spent the last 18 months systematically treating me like hired help while positioning herself as the sophisticated new family matriarch who didn't need input from outdated service industry people, made the catastrophic mistake of publicly humiliating someone who had spent her entire career learning how to control event services with surgical precision and vendor authority that could eliminate someone's celebration with a single phone call to the right kitchen manager. To understand how Claire's wedding day power play would ultimately trigger the most comprehensive catering disaster in Blackstone family history, you need to understand exactly how my relationship with my son David had developed over 32 years of mutual respect and collaborative event planning, and how a woman who appeared to be the perfect daughter-in-law gradually revealed herself to be the most financially dangerous social climber that anyone in our family had ever encountered. David hadn't always been vulnerable to the kind of systematic social manipulation and family isolation that Claire would eventually employ to gain control over his lifestyle decisions and social priorities. For most of his adult life, my son had been genuinely independent, professionally successful as a commercial real estate developer, and obviously committed to maintaining strong family relationships while building his own career and personal identity, without depending on family business connections or inherited advantages to achieve his professional goals and social recognition. But more importantly, David had always understood that our family's substantial hospitality industry connections came with both privileges and responsibilities that required collaborative decision-making and mutual respect for the values and relationships that had built our influence over multiple decades of event planning excellence and vendor relationship development throughout the regional catering and hospitality community. The Blackstone family influence in the hospitality industry hadn't been built overnight or through lucky inheritance. It had been systematically developed through 2 generations of careful business development, strategic vendor partnerships, and most importantly, unwavering commitment to service excellence and respect for the professional relationships that sustain successful event planning and catering operations across our metropolitan area's most prestigious social venues and celebration facilities. My father, Thomas Blackstone, had established the family's hospitality foundation through systematic restaurant development and catering service expansion during the economic growth period of the 1960s and 1970s in our metropolitan area. His approach had been characterized by conservative business management, long-term strategic partnerships, and absolute commitment to building vendor relationships that would provide security and opportunity for future generations, rather than immediate profit maximization and competitive advantage that might impress contemporary observers, but would ultimately compromise the family's long-term stability and industry influence. Thomas had started with a single-family restaurant called the Heritage Table in downtown Millbrook, a modest establishment that focused on exceptional service quality and consistent food preparation that earned loyal customer relationships throughout the local business community. But what made his approach particularly successful was his systematic development of relationships with local food suppliers, equipment vendors, and service professionals who appreciated his ethical business practices and reliable payment schedules that provided mutual benefit and long-term partnership stability. The early restaurant success had provided foundation for expanding into catering services during the late 1970s, when Millbrook's growing business community created increasing demand for professional event planning and food service coordination that required both culinary expertise and sophisticated logistical management capabilities that could handle everything from corporate meetings to elaborate wedding celebrations. Thomas had recognized that catering represented a significantly more profitable and scalable business model than traditional restaurant operations, because successful catering required comprehensive vendor relationships and service coordination that created natural barriers to competition while providing opportunities for premium pricing and exclusive client relationships that enhanced both revenue and professional reputation throughout the regional hospitality industry. During the 1980s, Thomas had systematically expanded Blackstone catering services through strategic partnerships with established event venues, hotel conference facilities, and country clubs that provided consistent client referrals and collaborative event planning opportunities that enhanced service capabilities while maintaining the personalized attention and quality control that distinguished premium catering operations from larger, less sophisticated food service companies. The business expansion had been carefully managed to preserve the family values and relationship-focused approach that characterized successful hospitality operations, ensuring that growth never compromised service quality or professional relationships, that provided competitive advantages and client loyalty throughout the increasingly sophisticated event planning market that served Millbrook's affluent business and social communities. But perhaps most importantly, Thomas had established systematic approaches to vendor relationship management and service quality control that created comprehensive operational frameworks for maintaining excellence while expanding service capabilities across multiple event types and client relationship categories that required different approaches to menu development, presentation standards, and logistical coordination. When I had graduated from Millbrook State University in 1974 with a degree in business administration and specialized training in hospitality management, Thomas had immediately recognized opportunities for systematic business development and professional relationship expansion that could enhance family influence throughout the regional event planning industry, while providing me with meaningful career development and leadership responsibilities that utilized my education and natural abilities in strategic planning and relationship management. My role in expanding Blackstone catering services hadn't been traditional family business involvement or simple administrative support. It had been specialized expertise in developing sophisticated client relationships, implementing advanced event planning technologies, and creating systematic approaches to vendor coordination that could handle increasingly complex celebrations and corporate events that required professional expertise and attention to detail that exceeded what most catering companies could provide. During my first decade with Blackstone Catering, I had been responsible for developing comprehensive service protocols and quality control systems that enabled the company to handle high-profile events and exclusive celebrations that required discretion, sophistication, and flawless execution that could enhance client social standing while maintaining professional reputation throughout Millbrook's most influential social circles and business networks. The advanced service capabilities that I had implemented included specialized menu development for dietary restrictions and cultural preferences, sophisticated presentation techniques that created memorable visual experiences, and comprehensive event coordination that managed everything from venue preparation to cleanup services that eliminated client stress while ensuring every detail reflected their vision and social objectives. But what made my contributions particularly valuable was the systematic development of vendor partnerships and professional relationships that created exclusive access to premium ingredients, specialized equipment, and expert service personnel who could execute elaborate events with precision and professionalism that distinguished Blackstone Catering from competitors who lacked comparable resources and relationship networks. The premium vendor relationships that I had cultivated included exclusive partnerships with artisan food producers who provided unique ingredients and specialty items that couldn't be obtained through standard commercial suppliers, creating competitive advantages and menu capabilities that enhanced client satisfaction while justifying premium pricing that reflected superior quality and exclusive access to exceptional products. During the 1990s, as Millbrook's economic development attracted increasingly wealthy residents and sophisticated businesses that required high-end event planning services, I had systematically expanded Blackstone Catering's capabilities through strategic acquisitions and partnership development that created comprehensive event planning services rather than simple food preparation and delivery that characterized less sophisticated catering operations. The service expansion had included professional event design and decoration services, comprehensive vendor coordination for entertainment and specialty services and systematic relationship development with premium venues and exclusive facilities that provided clients with access to celebration locations and amenities that enhanced social standing while demonstrating sophisticated taste and financial capability throughout Millbrook's competitive social environment. The comprehensive event planning capabilities that emerged from systematic business development created opportunities for managing some of the region's most prestigious celebrations and corporate events, including annual charity galas for Millbrook's most prominent philanthropic organizations, exclusive wedding receptions for influential families, and corporate celebrations for major businesses that required sophisticated presentation and flawless execution that reflected professional competence and social sophistication. But perhaps most importantly, the systematic business expansion had created extensive professional networks and vendor relationships that provided comprehensive influence throughout Millbrook's hospitality industry, including partnerships with virtually every premium venue, exclusive supplier relationships with specialty food producers, and professional connections with entertainment providers and service specialists who recognized Blackstone Catering as the region's premier event planning organization. By the early 2000s, Blackstone Catering Services had evolved into Premier Catering Solutions, a comprehensive event planning company that managed over 200 high-end celebrations annually, while maintaining exclusive relationships with Millbrook's most prestigious venues and influential client families, who relied on our services for their most important social events and business celebrations. The business transformation had required sophisticated organizational development and systematic quality control that could maintain personalized service standards, while managing increased volume and complexity that characterized premium event planning operations, serving multiple client categories with different requirements and expectations for service delivery and presentation quality. My leadership role had evolved to encompass comprehensive business management and strategic development that included financial planning, vendor relationship coordination, staff training and development, and systematic client relationship management that ensured consistent service excellence while expanding market presence and professional reputation throughout the regional hospitality industry. The comprehensive business management responsibilities had required advanced education and professional development that included specialized training in hospitality industry management, financial analysis and business planning, and sophisticated relationship management techniques that could maintain client loyalty while expanding service capabilities and market influence throughout increasingly competitive event planning environments. During my tenure as president and managing partner of Premier Catering Solutions, I had completed advanced certification programs through the National Association of Catering Executives, participated in hospitality industry leadership development programs, and maintained professional memberships in exclusive trade organizations that provided access to industry innovations and best practices that enhanced service capabilities while maintaining competitive advantages throughout the regional market. The professional development and industry involvement had also provided systematic networking opportunities with hospitality industry leaders throughout the region and beyond, creating professional relationships and resource access that enhanced Premier Catering Solutions capabilities, while providing personal recognition and industry influence that reflected decades of successful business development and service excellence. But what made the professional relationships particularly powerful was their emphasis on mutual respect and collaborative problem-solving that created comprehensive support networks for managing complex events and challenging situations that required immediate coordination and expert assistance from trusted partners who understood premium service standards and client relationship management requirements. The professional network that I had developed included exclusive relationships with specialty food producers and artisan suppliers who provided unique ingredients and products that created distinctive menu capabilities, premium venue managers who reserved preferred dates and arrangements for Premier Catering Solutions clients, and expert service personnel who understood sophisticated presentation standards and client service requirements that distinguished high-end events from ordinary celebrations. The vendor partnerships had been carefully developed through systematic relationship building and consistent business practices that demonstrated reliability, professionalism, and mutual benefit that created long-term loyalty and preferential treatment that provided competitive advantages while maintaining service quality and client satisfaction standards that enhanced professional reputation and business development opportunities. James Morrison, the executive chef and culinary director for Premier Catering Solutions, had been recruited from a prestigious resort kitchen and had developed specialized expertise in creating elaborate presentations and sophisticated flavor combinations that could accommodate diverse dietary requirements while maintaining visual appeal and taste quality that impressed clients and their guests throughout exclusive celebrations and corporate events. Eleanor's systematic approach to vendor relationships and quality control creates opportunities for culinary innovation and presentation excellence that would be impossible without the professional networks and resource access that she's developed throughout her career, James had explained during industry interviews about premium catering operations and service excellence standards. The combination of exclusive ingredient access and sophisticated client relationships allows us to create unique dining experiences that reflect each client's vision while exceeding their expectations for quality and presentation. The culinary capabilities that had emerged from systematic vendor development and professional relationship management included access to specialty ingredients from exclusive suppliers, custom menu development that reflected individual client preferences and dietary requirements, and sophisticated presentation techniques that created memorable visual experiences while maintaining exceptional taste quality and service standards. Sarah Mitchell, the event coordination director who managed comprehensive logistics and client relationship development for Premier Catering Solutions, had been trained in advanced event planning techniques and systematic quality control that could coordinate complex celebrations while maintaining personalized attention and service standards that distinguished premium event planning from standard catering operations. The systematic approach to event planning and vendor coordination that Eleanor has developed allows us to manage multiple complex events simultaneously, while maintaining the personalized service and attention to detail that clients expect from premium catering operations, Sarah had noted during professional development conferences about hospitality industry excellence and client relationship management. The comprehensive vendor relationships and quality control systems create capabilities for handling virtually any event requirement, while ensuring consistent service delivery and client satisfaction. The event planning capabilities that had been systematically developed included comprehensive venue coordination and decoration services, specialized entertainment and audio-visual coordination, transportation and accommodation assistance for out-of-town guests, and detailed timeline management that ensured smooth event flow while maintaining flexibility for last-minute adjustments and client preferences. Michael Chen, the financial director and business development manager who handled contract negotiations and vendor relationship management for Premier Catering Solutions, had developed sophisticated understanding of hospitality industry economics and pricing strategies that maximized profitability while maintaining competitive positioning and client value that supported long-term business relationships and market expansion throughout the regional event planning industry. Eleanor's strategic approach to business development and vendor relationship management has created sustainable competitive advantages that enable Premium Catering Solutions to maintain premium pricing while providing exceptional value and service quality that justifies client investment in sophisticated event planning, Michael had explained during business industry analysis and strategic planning consultations. The comprehensive vendor partnerships and exclusive resource access create service capabilities that competitors cannot replicate without similar relationship development and industry experience. Quote, "The financial management and business development strategies that had been implemented included sophisticated pricing models that reflected service complexity and resource requirements, comprehensive contract terms that protected business interests while ensuring client satisfaction, and systematic profit optimization that enabled reinvestment in service capabilities and professional development that enhanced competitive positioning throughout the regional hospitality market." By 2015, when I had transitioned to chairman and senior partner while maintaining active involvement in strategic planning and major client relationships, Premier Catering Solutions had achieved recognition as the region's premier event planning organization, managing over 300 high-end celebrations annually, while maintaining exclusive relationships with Millbrook's most prestigious venues and influential client families who relied on our services for their most important social events. The business success had created substantial personal wealth and professional recognition that included industry awards and leadership positions in trade organizations, but more importantly, it had established comprehensive influence throughout Millbrook's hospitality industry that provided systematic capability for supporting family members and protecting family interests through professional relationships and vendor coordination that could enhance or eliminate event planning capabilities based on family relationship dynamics and respect for established values. The transition to senior advisory role had been designed to provide ongoing involvement in strategic decision-making and major client relationships, while allowing younger professionals to assume operational responsibilities and daily management that required energy and attention to detail that could be better provided by individuals who were building their careers rather than transitioning toward retirement planning and family relationship priorities. But what made the advisory role particularly powerful was the systematic maintenance of vendor relationships and professional influence that continued to provide immediate access to event planning resources and service coordination capabilities that could be activated when family situations required intervention or protective action that demonstrated the ongoing influence and professional capability that characterized decades of successful business development and industry leadership. The modest lifestyle that I had maintained during my later career years had been strategically designed to encourage exactly the kind of overconfident social climbing behavior that would eventually provide clear justification for systematic consequences and permanent exclusion from family resources and professional relationships that required demonstration of character and family loyalty rather than simple marriage relationships that could be manipulated for social advantage and lifestyle enhancement. Every aspect of my public presentation had been carefully chosen to reinforce assumptions about retirement limitations and minimal continuing influence over business operations and vendor relationships, while concealing the comprehensive professional authority and systematic service control that continued to operate through Premier Catering Solutions partnership structure and industry relationship management that protected family interest from exactly the kind of systematic exploitation that Claire represented. My daily routine during semi-retirement had been deliberately structured to create the impression of a typical elderly woman whose activities were limited to traditional grandmother pursuits and community involvement, that suggested minimal continuing relevance to contemporary business management and professional decision-making that might affect major event planning and service coordination for younger generations who were building their own social networks and lifestyle priorities. The morning routine that neighbors and casual observers witnessed appeared to represent exactly the kind of simple retirement lifestyle that most people associated with elderly women who had gracefully stepped back from professional responsibilities and business authority, awakening at 7 each morning to read the local newspaper over coffee, tending to a modest herb garden behind my comfortable but unpretentious cottage house on Maple Street, and spending afternoons participating in community volunteer activities that reinforced assumptions about limited resources and traditional elderly social involvement. My residential choices had been particularly effective for strategic misdirection, because the comfortable but modest single-story cottage that I had chosen for semi-retirement appeared to represent exactly the kind of scaling down and lifestyle simplification that most people expected from elderly women who were managing limited retirement income and gradually reducing their involvement in complex business management and professional activities that required sophisticated thinking and strategic capability. The house itself was well-maintained and appropriately decorated, but deliberately modest in ways that discouraged assumptions about substantial continuing wealth or ongoing involvement in high-level business management and strategic planning activities that might suggest systematic access to significant resources and professional authority that could affect major event planning decisions and service coordination arrangements. But what visitors to my Maple Street cottage couldn't see was the sophisticated home office that occupied the converted spare bedroom, where I maintained comprehensive filing systems for business relationship management, professional-grade communication equipment for consulting with vendor partners and event planning specialists, and computer systems with specialized software for monitoring Premier Catering Solutions performance and analyzing hospitality industry arrangements that required ongoing oversight and strategic management. The office included secure storage for sensitive business documents and vendor contracts, professional-grade recording equipment for documenting important conversations and business consultations, and communication systems that provided immediate access to catering personnel, vendor specialists, and event planning coordinators who could provide expert analysis and strategic guidance for complex hospitality situations that required professional coordination and systematic response. The business management workspace also included multiple computer systems with secure connections to catering networks, vendor monitoring services, and professional databases that provided real-time access to contract information, event coordination details, and vendor resources that enabled comprehensive oversight of family event planning arrangements and immediate response to emerging situations or unauthorized activities that might compromise service quality or family event satisfaction. But perhaps most importantly, the home office included comprehensive communication systems that could provide immediate contact with catering managers, vendor coordinators, and service specialists who could implement emergency service modifications and systematic event adjustments within hours of documented problems or contract violations that required immediate protective intervention and comprehensive service termination to prevent successful exploitation and manipulation. Have you ever wondered what happens when someone treats the wrong person like hired help while depending on their business for their most important celebration? Drop a comment below and let me know, because this foundation story is just the beginning, and Claire was about to discover that some grandmothers don't just plan family events. They control the entire hospitality infrastructure that makes social celebrations possible. If you want to see how this systematic hospitality justice develops, and hear more about the vendor relationships and professional authority that would soon eliminate Claire's dream wedding reception, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. The stage has been set, the business relationships have been established, and Claire's complete misunderstanding of family professional connections and industry influence would soon trigger the most comprehensive catering catastrophe that anyone in our community's event planning history had ever witnessed. The quiet retirement cottage that had lulled her into assumptions about powerlessness and irrelevance was about to become the command center for event planning retaliation and vendor coordination that would demonstrate exactly what happens when you humiliate someone whose professional expertise and systematic authority was specifically designed to control the very services that made your celebration possible. The relationship between David and me hadn't always been under siege from social climbers and hospitality predators. For 32 years before Claire entered our lives, we had built something genuinely beautiful. A family bond characterized by mutual respect, collaborative event planning, and the kind of unconditional love that created both personal fulfillment and practical advantages for David's professional development and personal growth throughout his entire adult life. Those golden years of our family relationship weren't marked by dependency or obligation, but rather by voluntary collaboration and mutual support that provided benefits for both of us, while respecting individual autonomy and personal goals that complemented rather than conflicted with our family connection and shared values. Sometimes David needed to make independent decisions and pursue separate priorities that enhanced rather than threatened our family relationship, and I had always encouraged his independence while offering guidance when he sought it. From the time David graduated from Millbrook State University's School of Architecture and Business until Claire began her systematic isolation campaign in early 2023, our interactions had been characterized by regular communication that enhanced rather than limited his individual development and professional success in commercial real estate development. I provided strategic guidance that supported his professional advancement without creating dependency, and we maintained family traditions that offered emotional satisfaction and practical benefits without requiring sacrifice of personal relationships or career opportunities that might take him in different directions, from family expectations or business involvement that could complicate his individual achievement and professional reputation throughout Millbrook's competitive real estate market. David had established himself as a successful commercial real estate developer at Pinnacle Properties, one of the most prestigious development firms in our metropolitan area. His specialty in sustainable commercial development and mixed-use project coordination had earned recognition throughout the regional business community, and his projects had been featured in multiple industry publications and professional awards programs that demonstrated both individual competence and innovative thinking that reflected well on family values and business principles. But what made me most proud wasn't his professional success. It was the way he had achieved it through individual effort and talent, while maintaining strong family relationships and ethical standards that reflected the values we had always shared about hard work, professional integrity, and collaborative problem-solving that enhanced, rather than compromised, personal relationships and community involvement throughout his career development and social advancement. Our weekly dinner tradition had begun when David first moved into his own apartment after college graduation in 1992. Every Tuesday evening, he would come to my cottage on Maple Street for home-cooked meals and conversation that ranged from professional challenges and career planning to personal relationships and life philosophy that provided consistent family connection without interfering with his individual social life and romantic relationships that were developing throughout his 20s and early 30s. These weren't obligatory family visits driven by guilt or expectation. They were genuinely enjoyable gatherings that we both looked forward to and that provided systematic opportunities for family communication and collaborative problem-solving that enhanced David's strategic thinking and decision-making capabilities while maintaining emotional connection and mutual support that strengthened rather than limited his individual development and professional success. "Mom, I actually rescheduled a client presentation today because I didn't want to miss our Tuesday dinner," David had mentioned during one of our regular gatherings in spring 2019. These weekly conversations help me think through challenges and opportunities in ways that I just can't replicate anywhere else. Your perspective on professional relationship management and strategic thinking has been invaluable for my career development and business success throughout the real estate industry. The weekly dinners had provided natural opportunities for me to share insights from my hospitality career and business management experience that could enhance David's client relationship strategies and project development approaches without crossing boundaries into inappropriate involvement in his professional activities or decision-making processes that needed to remain entirely under his control and direction, based on his professional judgment and industry expertise. I could offer strategic thinking frameworks and analytical approaches that helped him evaluate opportunities and challenges, while ensuring that all decisions and implementations were entirely his own choices based on his professional knowledge and personal priorities, rather than family pressure or inappropriate business influence that might compromise his individual achievement and professional reputation throughout the competitive real estate development industry. During David's late 20s, when he had been considering whether to accept a senior development position at Pinnacle Properties that would require significant project management responsibility and client relationship coordination, our discussions had provided comprehensive analysis of the career implications, professional development opportunities, and long-term business trajectory considerations that helped him understand the full scope of the opportunity while ensuring the choice was entirely his own based on personal goals and professional satisfaction rather than family expectations. I want to make sure I'm evaluating this senior position for the right reasons and with complete understanding of both the advancement opportunities and management obligations involved, David had explained when seeking my perspective on the career development possibility that would significantly enhance his professional responsibilities and industry influence. Your experience with business management and long-term strategic planning helps me understand considerations that might not be obvious from my current position within the firm. The guidance I provided had been based on business expertise and analytical capability rather than family authority or emotional manipulation that might compromise his decision-making autonomy. I helped him develop systematic approaches to evaluating the position requirements, understanding the client relationship responsibilities and project coordination obligations, and assessing whether the opportunity aligned with his personal values and long-term career goals that would affect his professional satisfaction and industry advancement throughout his development career. But the final decision had been entirely his own, based on individual judgment about professional challenge and career development priorities that reflected his personal ambitions and strategic thinking, rather than family influence or business pressure that might compromise his individual achievement and professional independence throughout the real estate development industry. When David had ultimately accepted the senior development position, the celebration dinner we shared had been genuine recognition of his individual achievement and professional competence, rather than family pride in reflected glory or inherited advantages that might diminish his personal accomplishment and career success. I was proud of his advancement because it represented the culmination of years of hard work, strategic thinking, and ethical professional behavior that demonstrated character and capability that would serve him well throughout his career and personal life. The business planning conversations that had become a regular part of our relationship weren't attempts to control his decisions or maintain inappropriate influence over his career choices and professional development. Instead, they were collaborative discussions that helped David understand market analysis techniques, project evaluation strategies, and long-term business development approaches that could enhance his professional capabilities and industry success while ensuring his decision-making remained entirely autonomous and based on personal priorities rather than family pressure or business expectations. I appreciate having access to sophisticated business analysis and strategic planning expertise that helps me make better decisions about my own career and project development, David had said during discussions about professional advancement and industry positioning that had become more sophisticated as he gained experience and responsibility throughout his development career. Your business background helps me understand market dynamics and strategic considerations that I might not recognize on my own, but I know the choices are always mine to make based on my own professional judgment and career goals. Quote, the business guidance had included comprehensive education about real estate market analysis and development economics, not to create pressure or obligation, but to ensure David understood industry dynamics and could make informed decisions about career risks and project investments without concern about basic professional competence that was already established through family business education and strategic planning experience. David had always known that our family hospitality business could provide valuable professional networking and client relationship opportunities if he ever needed them, including detailed information about business connections, vendor relationships, and the collaborative approaches that governed access to family professional resources and industry influence throughout Millbrook's business community. This transparency had been deliberately designed to prevent exactly the kind of manipulation and professional pressure that predators like Claire typically employed against family relationships and business connections, because David understood that family business resources were available through collaborative planning and mutual respect, rather than marriage relationships or emotional manipulation that might compromise professional integrity and individual achievement. The business discussions had been matter-of-fact conversations about professional development and strategic planning rather than dramatic revelations or family secrets that might create pressure or inappropriate influence over personal decisions and career choices. David understood that family business connections were designed to enhance rather than control his professional options, and that access to industry resources was contingent on maintaining character and family relationships rather than specific career decisions or business choices that reflected his individual values and professional preferences. I've always appreciated that our family business relationships are designed to support my professional independence and individual goals rather than create dependency or obligation that might compromise my decision-making, David had mentioned during strategic planning discussions that had become more detailed as he approached his 30s and began considering major professional decisions about partnership opportunities and long-term career commitments. Knowing that family business resources are available allows me to make choices about career development based on genuine professional interest and personal satisfaction rather than financial considerations that might influence my judgment for the wrong reasons. The family business arrangements had included specific protections against professional manipulation and business exploitation, with industry relationships designed to ensure that family resources remained under family control regardless of marriage relationships or business partnerships that might create conflicts of interest or compromise professional independence and individual achievement throughout career development and industry advancement. These protective measures weren't designed to control David's marriage choices or interfere with his romantic relationships, but rather to ensure that family business resources continued to serve family values and priorities, rather than being exploited by individuals who might attempt to gain access to established industry connections through strategic relationship development and systematic manipulation of family dynamics for personal advantage and professional advancement. David had always understood and appreciated these protective arrangements because they enhanced rather than limited his autonomy in both professional and romantic relationships. He could pursue career opportunities based on genuine professional interest and strategic thinking without concern that potential business partners might be motivated by family connection considerations, rather than his individual competence and project development capabilities. The family business protection arrangements actually give me more freedom in professional relationships because I know that anyone who's interested in working with me must be genuinely interested in my individual capabilities, rather than family business connections, David had explained during conversations about career development and business relationship management that had characterized his professional growth throughout his 20s and early 30s. I can focus on building relationships based on professional competence and mutual benefit, without worrying about people who might be motivated by family business considerations rather than genuine professional collaboration. Quote, the protective business structures had been tested and proven effective during David's previous serious relationship with Rachel Hernandez, an environmental attorney whom he had dated for almost 4 years during his late 20s. Rachel had been genuinely welcomed into our family and had participated in holiday celebrations and business events with obvious comfort and mutual enjoyment, demonstrating exactly the kind of family integration and professional respect that the business arrangements were designed to support and encourage. Rachel had shown genuine interest in our family business history and hospitality industry development, had contributed meaningfully to family conversations and celebrations, and had demonstrated the kind of character and values that indicated long-term compatibility with family priorities and business principles that enhanced rather than threatened professional relationships and industry connections. Her professional accomplishments in environmental law complemented David's work in sustainable development, and their shared commitment to environmental responsibility and community development reflected values that enhanced rather than conflicted with family business principles and professional standards that had characterized Blackstone family involvement in the hospitality and development industries throughout multiple decades of business success and community leadership. Rachel feels like a natural addition to our family and business relationships. I had mentioned to David during conversations about his relationship development and long-term compatibility considerations that might affect both personal happiness and professional collaboration throughout their partnership development. She contributes to family gatherings and business discussions in ways that enhance everyone's understanding while demonstrating genuine interest in building relationships rather than simply fulfilling social obligations or positioning herself for advantage. When David and Rachel had ultimately ended their relationship due to career opportunities that would have required long-distance separation and conflicting professional priorities, the decision had been mutual and amicable, based on practical considerations rather than fundamental incompatibility or family disapproval that might have created lasting tension or negative feelings about family involvement in relationship evaluation and business development support. Rachel had continued to maintain friendly contact with our family even after the romantic relationship ended, demonstrating the kind of character and genuine family affection that indicated authentic relationship development rather than strategic positioning for professional advantage or business access that might disappear when romantic relationships concluded for practical or professional reasons. I'll always be grateful for the way your family welcomed me and made me feel like a genuine part of your celebrations and business discussions, Rachel had said during a conversation several months after her relationship with David had concluded. The experience helped me understand what healthy family-business relationships look like, and what I should look for in future romantic partnerships and professional collaboration opportunities. The contrast between Rachel's genuine family integration and Claire's systematic manipulation and exclusion tactics would eventually become stark evidence of the different motivations and character qualities that distinguished authentic relationship development from strategic social climbing and business exploitation attempts that targeted family resources and industry connections for personal advantage. During David's early 30s, as he had achieved greater professional success and begun considering more serious long-term relationship commitments, our conversations had evolved to include more detailed discussions about marriage considerations, family planning priorities, and the kind of partnership qualities that would enhance rather than compromise his personal happiness and professional development throughout his adult life and career advancement. These discussions weren't attempts to control his romantic choices or impose family expectations on his relationship decisions, but rather collaborative analysis of relationship dynamics and compatibility factors that could affect long-term satisfaction and family harmony that would benefit everyone involved in expanded family relationships and business collaboration throughout professional development and community involvement. I want to find someone who enhances rather than complicates family relationships and business connections, David had explained during conversations about relationship priorities and marriage considerations that had become more focused as he approached his mid-30s and achieved greater professional stability. Our family relationship and business network are important to me, and I want any long-term partner to appreciate and contribute to family relationships rather than viewing them as competition or obstacles to overcome. The relationship standards that David had developed weren't unreasonable expectations or controlling family requirements, but rather mature recognition that successful long-term partnerships required compatibility not just between romantic partners, but also between individuals and their extended family relationships, and professional networks that provided ongoing support and connection throughout adult life and career development. David had also begun taking greater interest in family business management and hospitality industry development, not because he was planning to change careers or depend on family business involvement, but because he understood that family business connections represented family legacy and values that he might eventually be responsible for preserving and managing throughout future generations and industry development. I want to understand the family business relationships and industry connections not because I'm planning to depend on inherited advantages, but because I recognize that these resources represent family legacy and values that I'll eventually be responsible for preserving and coordinating, David had said during discussions about business planning and generational responsibility that had become more detailed as he matured and began considering long-term family leadership responsibilities and industry stewardship. The gradual transition toward greater family business involvement had been natural and mutually beneficial, providing David with sophisticated understanding of hospitality industry management and vendor relationship coordination, while ensuring continuity of family values and business principles that had preserved and enhanced family influence across multiple generations of industry development and community leadership. These family business education discussions had included comprehensive information about vendor relationships and industry structures, contract management and service coordination, and the systematic approaches to quality control and professional relationship management that had characterized my career and continued to guide family business involvement and strategic planning throughout semi-retirement years. David had demonstrated genuine aptitude and interest in business analysis and strategic relationship management that suggested natural ability for eventual family business coordination responsibilities, while also maintaining clear boundaries between family business involvement and personal career development that remained focused on real estate achievement and professional satisfaction rather than dependence on inherited advantages or family industry connections. Learning about family business management and industry relationship coordination actually enhances my professional development because it provides sophisticated analytical frameworks and strategic thinking approaches that improve my project planning and client relationship management capabilities. David had observed during business education sessions that had prepared him for eventual family business involvement while supporting his current professional growth and development throughout the real estate industry. The professional development that resulted from family business education had created additional common ground for our relationship conversations and collaborative problem solving, providing shared intellectual interests and strategic challenges that enhanced family connection while respecting individual autonomy and professional priorities that remained entirely under David's control and direction. The collaborative approach to family business education and leadership preparation had also provided systematic opportunities for assessing David's judgment and decision-making capabilities in complex business situations that required analytical thinking and ethical reasoning that would be essential for protecting family business interests and relationships from systematic threats and manipulation attempts that might emerge in future family situations. David had consistently demonstrated excellent judgment and strong ethical principles in business education scenarios and strategic planning exercises, providing confidence that family business resources would continue to serve family values and priorities under his eventual leadership and responsibility for protecting industry relationships and vendor coordination across future generations. David has shown exactly the kind of character and strategic thinking capability that justifies confidence in his eventual family business leadership. I had noted in business documentation that recorded systematic evaluation of family member qualifications and leadership readiness that would guide future business transition and management coordination planning. His combination of professional competence, ethical standards, and family loyalty provides comprehensive foundation for preserving and enhancing family business relationships and industry influence across multiple generations. But perhaps most importantly, the golden years of our family relationship had been characterized by genuine mutual enjoyment and emotional satisfaction that went far beyond business considerations or practical advantages to include the kind of authentic love and connection that made family gatherings and traditions genuinely rewarding experiences that enhanced rather than complicated our individual lives and personal development. The holiday celebrations during those years had been joyful occasions that brought together extended family members and close friends for celebrations that reflected our shared values and traditions, while accommodating individual preferences and scheduling requirements that respected everyone's personal commitments and relationship priorities throughout the hospitality and business communities. Christmas celebrations had included elaborate family dinners with traditional recipes and menu items that had been passed down through previous generations of Blackstone family hospitality involvement, combined with contemporary additions and modifications that reflected changing family preferences and dietary considerations that made celebrations inclusive and enjoyable for everyone who participated in family gatherings and traditional observances. The gift-giving traditions had emphasized thoughtful selection and personal significance, rather than expensive display or competitive spending that might create pressure or inappropriate focus on material considerations, rather than family connection and relationship appreciation. that represented the authentic meaning and emotional satisfaction of holiday celebrations and family traditions. I always look forward to our family celebrations because they provide consistent opportunities for connection and tradition that enhance rather than complicate my individual life and professional responsibilities. David had mentioned during holiday planning discussions that had characterized our collaborative approach to family gathering coordination and tradition maintenance. The celebrations feel authentic and meaningful rather than obligatory or stressful, which makes them genuinely rewarding experiences that I want to share with anyone I'm in a serious relationship with. The family celebration traditions had provided natural opportunities for evaluating romantic partners and assessing their compatibility with family values and business relationships, while also creating enjoyable social experiences that enhanced, rather than threatened, individual romantic relationships. Through positive family integration and mutual support for relationship development and long-term compatibility. The summer vacation traditions had included annual family trips to our lake cottage in northern Michigan, where David and I would spend a week each July enjoying outdoor activities, recreational boating, and leisurely conversations that provided uninterrupted time for family connection and relationship maintenance, without the distractions and scheduling pressures that characterize normal daily routines and professional responsibilities. These annual retreat experiences had been particularly valuable for maintaining family communication and collaborative problem-solving throughout David's professional development and personal growth, providing systematic opportunities for discussing challenges and opportunities, while enjoying recreational activities and natural settings that enhanced perspective and strategic thinking about life priorities and relationship development. Our annual lake cottage weeks have become some of my favorite family memories because they provide time and space for the kind of deep conversations and relationship building that's hard to maintain during busy professional schedules and daily responsibilities. David had said during vacation planning discussions that had become more important as his career demands and social obligations had increased throughout his 30s. The lake cottage traditions had also provided natural opportunities for romantic partners to experience extended family interaction and participate in family activities that revealed character and compatibility factors that might not be obvious during shorter social gatherings or formal family events, that provided limited insight into personality and relationship dynamics under relaxed circumstances and collaborative activities. Rachel Hernandez had participated in 3 annual lake cottage vacations during her relationship with David, demonstrating exactly the kind of family integration and genuine enjoyment that indicated authentic relationship development and compatibility with family values and social dynamics that enhanced rather than complicated family relationships and long-term partnership potential. Rachel's enthusiasm for family activities and genuine interest in family stories and business traditions shows exactly the kind of character and family appreciation that makes romantic partners welcome additions to family celebrations. I had observed during vacation experiences that had provided comprehensive opportunities for relationship assessment and compatibility evaluation under extended social interaction circumstances and collaborative activity participation. The contrast between Rachel's authentic family integration and Claire's systematic avoidance and manipulation of family relationships would eventually provide stark evidence of different motivations and strategic objectives that distinguish genuine romantic interest from systematic social climbing and business exploitation planning that targeted family resources rather than individual relationship development. The professional mentorship aspects of our relationship during those golden years had been particularly rewarding for both of us, providing opportunities for me to share insights and expertise from my hospitality career while supporting David's professional development and strategic thinking, without crossing boundaries into inappropriate control or dependency that might compromise his individual achievement and personal satisfaction with professional success. Your experience with business relationship management and strategic analysis has been invaluable for helping me understand development opportunities and client relationship challenges that I might not have recognized or addressed effectively on my own. David had explained during conversations about professional development and career advancement that had characterized our collaborative approach to strategic planning and problem solving throughout his real estate career development. The professional guidance had included analysis of client relationship dynamics, strategic approaches to business development and partnership building, and systematic evaluation of career opportunities and advancement possibilities that required sophisticated thinking about long-term professional goals and personal satisfaction considerations that would affect life planning and relationship priorities. But perhaps most importantly, the professional mentorship had been based on mutual respect and collaborative analysis rather than hierarchical authority or family control that might compromise David's professional autonomy and individual decision-making about career development and business relationship management that remained entirely under his direction and control. The collaborative approach to professional development had created shared intellectual interests and strategic challenges that enhanced family relationships while providing practical benefits for David's career advancement and business success that demonstrated the value of family wisdom and experience, without creating dependency or obligation that might compromise individual achievement and personal satisfaction. The professional insights and strategic thinking frameworks that I've learned through our family conversations have enhanced my professional capabilities and business development success in ways that support rather than replace my individual effort and talent, David had noted during career evaluation discussions that had recognized both family contribution and individual achievement in professional development and advancement. The golden years of our family relationship had created exactly the kind of foundation and mutual trust that made Claire's systematic manipulation and exclusion tactics particularly devastating and obviously inappropriate, compared to the healthy family dynamics and collaborative relationship building that had characterized our family interaction and tradition maintenance for over 3 decades of mutual support and genuine affection. Those years had established patterns of respect, communication, and collaborative problem-solving that made the contrast with Claire's behavior obvious and disturbing to anyone who understood healthy family relationship dynamics and the difference between authentic integration and systematic manipulation, designed to eliminate family influence and oversight that might interfere with social climbing and business exploitation objectives. The memories and experiences from those golden years would provide both emotional motivation and practical foundation for the systematic response that Claire's wedding day humiliation would trigger, demonstrating exactly what someone lost when they attempted to replace healthy family relationships with manipulative control and social climbing that prioritize status and business advantage over genuine character and authentic relationship development. David had been genuinely happy during those years, with obvious confidence in family support and security that enhanced rather than limited his individual development and professional achievement. The systematic destruction of that happiness and security, through Claire's manipulation, would provide comprehensive justification for the devastating consequences and permanent exclusion from family resources that her wedding day behavior would ultimately trigger. The golden era that Claire had systematically destroyed represented everything that family relationships should provide: mutual support, collaborative problem-solving, enhanced individual development, and unconditional love that survived disagreements and personal changes while respecting individual autonomy and supporting personal goals that reflected character and values rather than social climbing and business manipulation. But those beautiful years were about to become evidence of exactly what Claire had attempted to destroy through systematic exclusion and family manipulation, and her wedding day humiliation would provide the final documentation necessary for implementing the most comprehensive hospitality industry destruction that anyone in our family's history had ever experienced. Have you ever watched someone systematically destroy something beautiful only to face consequences they never imagined possible? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, because Claire's story is just beginning, and those golden years that she dismissed as outdated family dynamics were about to become the foundation for the most systematic catering justice that anyone in our social circle had ever witnessed. If you're enjoying this story of family loyalty and strategic consequences, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Tomorrow, I'll tell you exactly how Claire entered our lives and began her systematic campaign to replace genuine family relationships with social climbing manipulation that would ultimately cost her everything she thought she was gaining through strategic marriage and family exploitation. The golden years had been real, they had been beautiful, and they would provide both the motivation and the justification for ensuring that Claire's attempt to destroy them would result in her own complete social and culinary destruction, rather than successful exploitation of family resources and business relationships that had taken generations to build and would be protected at any cost. Claire Whitfield entered our lives on a blustery February evening in 2023, when David brought her to our regular Tuesday dinner with obvious excitement and the kind of nervous energy that suggested he was genuinely smitten with someone he hoped would make a positive impression on his family. At first glance, Claire appeared to be exactly the kind of sophisticated, accomplished woman that I had always hoped David might find. Professionally successful, socially confident, and apparently interested in building genuine relationships, rather than simply pursuing romantic involvement for personal advantage or business connections that could enhance her social standing and career prospects. The initial introduction had been carefully orchestrated by David, who had clearly prepared Claire for the meeting and had obviously emphasized the importance of family relationships in his life and decision-making processes throughout his personal and professional development. Claire arrived at my Maple Street cottage, carrying a beautiful arrangement of winter flowers and a bottle of expensive wine that suggested both thoughtfulness and good taste, while her professional attire and confident demeanor indicated someone who was comfortable in social situations and understood appropriate behavior for significant family introductions and relationship development. "Mom, I'd like you to meet Claire Whitfield," David had said with obvious pride and enthusiasm as he guided her into my living room for the formal introduction. "Claire works as a marketing manager at Riverside Financial Group, and she's been incredibly patient with my stories about our family traditions and Tuesday dinner conversations. I thought it was time for you two to meet and get to know each other." Claire had responded to the introduction with exactly the right combination of respect and confidence, demonstrating social skills that suggested genuine sophistication rather than superficial charm, designed to create false impressions or manipulate family dynamics for personal advantage and business connections. Her initial conversation had been engaging and appropriate, showing interest in family history and traditions while sharing relevant information about her own background and professional experience that provided foundation for relationship development and mutual understanding. "Mrs. Blackstone, David has told me so much about your hospitality career and the wonderful family relationship you've built together," Claire had said during our initial conversation, using language that indicated genuine appreciation for family dynamics rather than strategic positioning for advantage or business access. "I'm really looking forward to getting to know you better and learning more about the family traditions and experiences that have been so important to David's development and happiness." The early conversation had touched on Claire's professional background in financial services marketing, her educational experience at Northwestern University's business program, and her involvement in community volunteer activities that suggested both professional competence and social responsibility that aligned with family values and community engagement that we had always prioritized and encouraged throughout our business and personal relationships. Claire had explained that her role as marketing manager at Riverside Financial Group involved developing strategic communication campaigns for investment services, managing client outreach programs, and coordinating educational initiatives that promoted financial literacy and investment accessibility throughout our metropolitan area. The position required sophisticated understanding of financial markets, client relationship management, and professional coordination that indicated capability and achievement that impressed both David and me during initial relationship evaluation. Financial services marketing requires balancing promotional objectives with genuine client education and ethical responsibility, Claire had explained when describing her professional role and the strategic challenges that characterized her daily work responsibilities. "I really enjoy the opportunity to contribute to financial education and investment accessibility while building my professional expertise in strategic communication and relationship management." The professional credentials had been impressive and suggested the kind of career focus and achievement that indicated personal ambition and individual capability rather than dependency on romantic relationships or family connections for financial security and social advancement. Claire appeared to possess exactly the kind of professional independence and personal accomplishment that would complement David's real estate career without creating competitive tension or financial pressure that might compromise relationship development and long-term compatibility. During that first Tuesday dinner, Claire had demonstrated appropriate social behavior and genuine interest in family conversation topics, contributing meaningfully to discussions about community development, professional challenges, and personal interests that suggested compatibility with family values and communication styles that had characterized our relationship building and tradition maintenance for decades. The dinner conversation had ranged from current events and community issues to professional development and travel experiences, providing opportunities for Claire to demonstrate knowledge, opinions, and social skills that revealed personality characteristics and value systems that would affect long-term relationship compatibility and family integration potential throughout her developing relationship with David. Claire had shared interesting stories about financial services marketing campaigns and client education projects that had contributed to improved investment literacy and financial planning awareness throughout our regional community. Her professional experiences had included coordination with financial advisors, community organizations, and government agencies that required diplomatic skills and strategic thinking that suggested capability for handling complex social situations and professional challenges. One of our most successful campaigns involved developing educational materials about retirement planning that increased participation in employer-sponsored investment programs by 25% among local businesses. Claire had explained during conversation about professional achievements and community impact that had demonstrated both career competence and social responsibility. The project required extensive coordination with financial advisors, business owners, and local media outlets to ensure accurate information and effective distribution that actually reached the target populations. Quote, "The professional accomplishments had been genuinely impressive and had suggested systematic thinking and project management capabilities that indicated intelligence and competence that would enhance rather than complicate family relationships and social dynamics throughout long-term partnership development and community involvement." But looking back with the analytical expertise that 35 years of hospitality industry experience had provided, I now recognize that Claire's initial presentation had included several subtle warning signs that should have triggered more careful evaluation and systematic observation, rather than the positive assessment that I had offered based on apparent compatibility, and David's obvious happiness with relationship development that seemed to enhance rather than threaten family dynamics and individual growth. The first subtle warning sign had been Claire's systematic questions about family business arrangements and hospitality industry connections that went beyond normal curiosity about family background and career history to include specific inquiries about vendor relationships, contract management, and business partnership structures that seemed unusually detailed for someone who had been dating David for only a few months and had no legitimate need for understanding family business operations or industry influence that might affect her personal financial planning. David mentioned that you had a successful hospitality career and have been really strategic about building industry relationships. Claire had said during conversation that I had initially interpreted as normal interest in family background, rather than intelligence gathering about business values and professional structures that could affect her long-term strategic planning and relationship objectives. I think it's wonderful when families can build real business influence and develop comprehensive industry connections. Have you found that professional relationship management makes a significant difference in business success and market positioning? Quote, "The questions had been phrased as professional curiosity and admiration for business development expertise, but they had included terminology and concepts that suggested more sophisticated understanding of hospitality industry management and vendor relationship coordination than most people possessed without professional involvement in event planning services or systematic research into family business structures and industry arrangements that could affect personal advancement and strategic relationship development." The second warning sign had been Claire's immediate and obvious interest in family social connections and community influence that went beyond normal curiosity about social background to include strategic questions about family relationships with prominent community members, professional networks, and social organizations that could provide access to influential circles and advancement opportunities for personal and professional benefit throughout Millbrook's competitive social environment. I'd love to learn more about the community organizations and social activities that your family has been involved with over the years, Claire had mentioned during conversation about family history and community engagement. David mentioned that you've been connected with some really interesting people and organizations throughout your hospitality career and community involvement. I'm always interested in opportunities to contribute to community development and meet people who share similar values and interests. The interest had seemed like normal curiosity about family social background and community involvement, but the systematic focus on influential connections and advancement opportunities had suggested strategic thinking about relationship development and social climbing that might prioritize access and advantage over genuine community service and authentic relationship building that characterized healthy family engagement and social responsibility. The third warning sign had been Claire's subtle but systematic efforts to position herself as David's primary source of social and emotional support, despite having known him for significantly less time than many of his established friendships and professional relationships that had provided stability and guidance throughout his adult development and career advancement. David and I have been talking about how important it is for couples to prioritize their relationship development and really focus on building something special together. Claire had mentioned during conversation that had seemed like normal relationship enthusiasm, but had actually represented early positioning for systematic isolation and family manipulation that would eventually characterize her approach to gaining control over David's decision-making and social priorities. The comment had been presented as healthy relationship development and romantic commitment, but it had included subtle suggestions about relationship hierarchy and priority management that could eventually lead to systematic exclusion of family and friend relationships that might provide alternative perspectives and independent advice that could interfere with manipulative influence and emotional control that predators typically employed against their targets. During the weeks following that initial dinner introduction, Claire had implemented a carefully planned campaign to establish herself as a regular presence in our family activities, while simultaneously beginning the systematic intelligence gathering and relationship assessment that would eventually inform her strategic approach to family manipulation and business resource access that characterized her long-term objectives for financial advancement and social climbing through marriage relationship development. The early integration process had included enthusiastic participation in family gatherings and traditions, strategic expressions of appreciation for family values and relationship dynamics, and systematic efforts to demonstrate compatibility with family priorities, while actually conducting comprehensive evaluation of family business resources and social influence that could benefit her personal advancement and lifestyle enhancement goals. Claire had attended our next 4 Tuesday dinners with obvious enjoyment and meaningful contribution to family conversation and tradition maintenance, creating positive impressions and emotional investment from both David and me that would make her eventual manipulation and exclusion tactics more shocking and hurtful when they eventually emerged after she had established trust and relationship foundation that could be exploited for strategic advantage. The early March celebration of David's birthday had provided Claire with her first opportunity to experience extended family gathering and celebration tradition participation that revealed family relationship dynamics and social patterns that could inform her strategic planning for systematic manipulation and control that would eventually characterize her approach to gaining access to family resources and eliminating protective oversight that might interfere with business exploitation. During the birthday celebration, Claire had met my sister Patricia and her husband Robert, along with David's cousin Jennifer and her partner Maria, providing opportunities for family relationship observation and strategic assessment of family dynamics and communication patterns that could reveal vulnerabilities and manipulation opportunities that might support her long-term objectives for family influence and resource access. The extended family gathering had also provided Claire with systematic exposure to family business indicators and lifestyle elements that revealed the scope of professional resources and social influence that could be accessed through successful relationship development and family integration that might eventually lead to marriage and business access that would enhance her financial security and social advancement far beyond what her professional income and individual resources could provide. "Your family has such beautiful traditions and really impressive family relationships," Claire had commented during the birthday celebration, using language that suggested genuine appreciation while actually conducting strategic evaluation of family dynamics and resource indicators that could inform her systematic planning for relationship development and eventual manipulation that would serve her financial and social advancement objectives. The birthday gathering had included elaborate meal preparation and presentation that indicated substantial discretionary income and lifestyle resources, combined with comfortable family interaction and social confidence that suggested established business connections and community influence that could provide significant advantages for anyone who gained access through marriage relationships and family integration that established legitimate claims to family resource access and social network inclusion. But perhaps most importantly, the birthday celebration had provided Claire with systematic observation opportunities for family business management and decision-making processes that revealed the structure and authority patterns that governed family resource allocation and major expenditure approval that would eventually become crucial information for her strategic planning and manipulation attempts. During family conversation about spring travel plans and summer celebration traditions, Claire had observed family financial decision-making and resource allocation discussions that revealed both the scope of family business connections and the systematic approaches to collaborative planning and mutual consultation that characterized healthy family business management and expense coordination throughout family activities and tradition maintenance. I'm really impressed by how thoughtfully your family approaches business planning and decision-making, Claire had mentioned during conversation that had seemed like appreciation for family organization, but had actually represented intelligence gathering about business structures and authority relationships that could affect her strategic planning for eventual resource access and family manipulation that would serve her long-term financial and social objectives. The Easter celebration in April 2023 had provided additional opportunities for Claire to demonstrate family integration and relationship development while continuing her systematic intelligence gathering and strategic evaluation of family resources and social dynamics that would inform her eventual manipulation campaign and exclusion tactics that characterized her true objectives for relationship development and marriage planning. The Easter gift exchange had revealed both family financial resources and individual relationship dynamics that provided insight into family hierarchy and emotional connections that could be exploited or manipulated for strategic advantage in future family conflicts and resource allocation discussions that might affect access to family business connections and lifestyle support. Claire had received thoughtful gifts from both David and me, including jewelry and luxury items that indicated family financial capability and generosity toward romantic partners who demonstrated compatibility and relationship commitment that suggested long-term potential for family integration and mutual benefit through collaborative relationship development and tradition participation. But more importantly, Claire had observed family gift-giving patterns at expense levels that revealed systematic approaches to family financial management and discretionary spending that indicated substantial business resources and resource flexibility that could support major lifestyle enhancements and expensive celebration events like elaborate wedding ceremonies and luxury honeymoon experiences that would enhance social status and personal advancement. Your family's generosity and thoughtfulness in gift selection really demonstrates the love and care that makes family relationships so special, Claire had said during Easter celebration, using language that suggested emotional appreciation, while actually confirming her assessment of family financial resources and spending patterns that could inform her strategic planning for relationship development and eventual manipulation that would maximize her access to family business connections and lifestyle enhancement opportunities. By late spring 2023, Claire had established herself as a regular and apparently welcome presence in family activities and traditions, demonstrating what appeared to be genuine integration and relationship development while actually completing comprehensive intelligence gathering and strategic assessment that would inform her systematic campaign for family manipulation and resource access that would eventually escalate to the wedding day exclusion and humiliation that triggered my devastating hospitality industry response. The engagement announcement in June 2023 had seemed like natural progression of healthy relationship development and family integration, with David obviously happy and confident about long-term partnership potential with someone who appeared to appreciate family values and contribute positively to family relationship dynamics and tradition maintenance. Mom, Claire and I have decided to get married, and we're hoping for your blessing and support for our partnership, David had announced during Tuesday dinner gathering that had seemed like celebration of successful relationship development and family expansion, rather than the beginning of systematic manipulation and exclusion that would eventually characterize Claire's true objectives for marriage and family resource access. The engagement had been presented as collaborative decision and mutual commitment that would enhance rather than threaten family relationships and social dynamics, with both David and Claire expressing appreciation for family support and enthusiasm for including family members in wedding planning and celebration activities that would demonstrate successful integration and relationship development. But the engagement announcement had also marked the beginning of subtle changes in Claire's behavior and communication patterns that revealed her growing confidence about relationship security and her systematic preparation for implementing manipulation tactics that would eventually eliminate family influence and establish her control over David's social priorities and decision-making processes. The first subtle change had been Claire's gradual shift from enthusiastic family participation to strategic commentary about family relationship dynamics and traditional patterns that supposedly required modernization and adaptation to contemporary relationship standards and social expectations that prioritized marriage partnership over extended family involvement and collaborative decision-making. I think it's important for engaged couples to really focus on building their own relationship identity and establishing independence from traditional family patterns that might not be appropriate for contemporary partnership development. Claire had mentioned during conversation that had seemed like normal relationship growth but had actually represented early positioning for systematic family exclusion and manipulation that would eventually characterize her approach to gaining control over David's social priorities and resource allocation decisions. The second change had been Claire's increasing tendency to schedule competing activities and social obligations that conflicted with established family traditions and gathering times, creating systematic pressure for David to choose between family involvement and relationship priorities that positioned family connections as obstacles to overcome rather than relationships to preserve and enhance through inclusive partnership development. David and I have been invited to several social events and professional networking opportunities that could really benefit his career development and our social advancement, Claire had explained, when beginning to miss family gatherings and tradition participation. I think it's important for us to prioritize activities that will enhance our professional and social development as a couple, rather than limiting ourselves to traditional family patterns that might not provide the advancement opportunities we need for long-term success. The systematic scheduling conflicts had been presented as career advancement and social development opportunities, but they had actually represented deliberate isolation tactics designed to reduce David's family involvement and eliminate regular communication and relationship maintenance that might provide alternative perspectives and independent advice that could interfere with Claire's manipulation and control objectives. The third change had been Claire's subtle but systematic criticism of family business management and decision-making approaches that supposedly reflected outdated thinking and conservative limitations that prevented optimal resource utilization and strategic advancement that could enhance lifestyle and social opportunities for younger generations with contemporary priorities and ambitious goals. I think your mother's business management approaches reflect her generation's conservative thinking, but we might benefit from more aggressive networking strategies and modern business development approaches that could maximize our social and professional opportunities, Claire had told David during conversations that he had shared with me when seeking perspective on business planning and professional relationship development. The criticism had been presented as modern business thinking and strategic planning expertise, but it had actually represented systematic efforts to undermine family business authority and collaborative decision-making that might interfere with Claire's eventual plans for accessing family resources and eliminating oversight that could prevent her business exploitation and systematic manipulation of family connections for personal advantage. By summer 2023, Claire's behavioral changes had become obvious enough to trigger concern about her motivations and strategic objectives, but David's emotional investment in the relationship and engagement planning had made him resistant to family feedback and warning signs that might suggest manipulation rather than normal relationship development and partnership building. The wedding planning process had provided Claire with systematic opportunities to demonstrate her true priorities and character, while revealing the scope of her social climbing ambitions and lifestyle expectations that extended far beyond what David's individual income and professional resources could support, without substantial family business assistance and lifestyle enhancement through family connections and industry resource utilization. Claire's vision for their wedding celebration had been elaborate and expensive, including luxury venue rental, professional photography and videography services, elaborate floral arrangements and decoration, designer wedding attire, and extensive catering and entertainment that would cost significantly more than David's annual real estate income, and would require substantial family business support, or long-term debt obligations that could affect their financial security and independence for years following the celebration. We want our wedding to be really special and memorable, something that reflects our social position and professional success, Claire had explained when discussing wedding planning and expense considerations that exceeded reasonable budget parameters and suggested expectations about family business support that indicated systematic planning for lifestyle enhancement and social advancement through access to family resources. The wedding expense expectations had been particularly revealing because they suggested either hidden financial resources or systematic planning to establish lifestyle precedent that would require ongoing family business support and industry access that could provide the luxury and social status that Claire's professional income couldn't independently support or sustain throughout long-term marriage and lifestyle development. But perhaps most concerning had been Claire's systematic efforts to control wedding planning and celebration arrangements without collaborative consultation or family input about traditions and preferences that might enhance family unity and relationship inclusion, rather than serving primarily as social display and status demonstration that prioritized Claire's advancement over family relationship development and tradition maintenance. The guest list development had revealed Claire's strategic priorities for social networking and advancement opportunities, rather than family relationship celebration and community connection that had always characterized family milestone events and tradition maintenance throughout our family history and social development. Claire had systematically excluded several longtime family friends and community connections, while including numerous professional contacts and social acquaintances who could provide networking opportunities and social advancement benefits that enhanced her professional development and community influence, rather than celebrating family relationships and genuine friendship connections that had provided support and stability throughout David's development and our family's social engagement. I think we should focus our guest list on people who are relevant to our current social and professional development, rather than including everyone who has historical family connections, Claire had explained when discussing wedding invitation decisions that excluded people who had been important to family relationship development and community involvement throughout our social history and tradition maintenance. The systematic exclusion of family friends and community connections had been presented as modern wedding planning and guest list optimization, but it had actually represented deliberate elimination of people who might provide alternative perspectives and independent observations about Claire's behavior and motivations that could interfere with her manipulation and control objectives throughout relationship development and family resource access. By fall 2023, as wedding planning intensified and celebration arrangements became more detailed and expensive, Claire's true character and strategic objectives had become increasingly obvious to anyone who understood manipulation tactics and social climbing strategies, but David's emotional investment and engagement excitement had made him resistant to family concern and warning signs that might suggest problems with relationship development and partnership compatibility. The final months before the wedding had been characterized by systematic escalation of Claire's exclusion tactics and family manipulation attempts, including obvious efforts to limit my involvement in wedding planning and celebration preparation, while positioning herself as the primary decision-maker and authority figure for family social arrangements and business resource allocation that would set precedent for future relationship dynamics and family hierarchy. The wedding day exclusion and hospitality manipulation that would eventually trigger my devastating industry response had been the culmination of months of systematic disrespect and strategic positioning that revealed Claire's true objectives for family relationship destruction and resource access, that prioritized her social climbing and business advantage over genuine partnership development and family unity preservation. But Claire had made the catastrophic mistake of underestimating exactly who she was attempting to manipulate and exclude from family celebrations and tradition participation. The woman she dismissed as an outdated obstacle to her social advancement was about to demonstrate that some grandmothers control hospitality industry resources that could destroy your entire celebration and social aspirations, with systematic precision and permanent consequences that would serve as lasting warning to anyone else who might consider similar manipulation and family exploitation attempts. The catalyst had been established, the manipulation patterns had been documented, and Claire's systematic disrespect and exclusion tactics were about to encounter exactly the kind of devastating hospitality industry response that would demonstrate why publicly humiliating someone based on assumptions about their powerlessness and irrelevance could be the most expensive social mistake anyone pursuing advancement through family manipulation could ever make. Have you ever watched someone gradually reveal their true character while positioning themselves for systematic manipulation and exploitation? Drop a comment below and share your experience. Because Claire's story is about to escalate, and her wedding day behavior would provide the final evidence necessary for implementing catering consequences that would eliminate her access to family resources, while teaching her the most expensive lesson about respect and strategic thinking that anyone in our social circle had ever received. If you're following this story of family manipulation and strategic consequences, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Tomorrow, I'll tell you exactly how Claire's systematic exclusion campaign escalated into the manipulation tactics that would set the stage for the wedding day humiliation that triggered the most comprehensive hospitality industry destruction that anyone in our family's history had ever experienced. The systematic campaign that Claire launched following her engagement to David represented one of the most sophisticated and methodical attempts at family manipulation and social climbing that I had encountered in 35 years of protecting family business interests from predators and opportunists. What made her approach particularly dangerous was its gradual escalation and strategic timing. designed to normalize increasingly disrespectful behavior, while positioning herself as the victim of outdated family dynamics that supposedly required modernization and adaptation to contemporary relationship standards and professional networking priorities. The campaign began in earnest during the summer of 2023, approximately 6 weeks after the engagement announcement, when Claire started implementing subtle but systematic changes to family interaction patterns and social arrangements that would eventually eliminate my influence over David's decision-making, while establishing her complete control over his social priorities and business resource allocation throughout their marriage and family relationship development. The first phase of Claire's manipulation campaign focused on redefining family relationship boundaries and social expectations through strategic commentary and systematic pressure designed to make David feel guilty about maintaining close family connections that supposedly interfered with healthy marriage development and partnership autonomy that required independence from traditional family involvement and collaborative decision-making. "I've been reading about healthy marriage relationships and modern partnership development," Claire had told David during conversations that he shared with me when seeking perspective on relationship dynamics and family involvement considerations. "Most relationship experts recommend that engaged couples establish clear boundaries with extended family and focus primarily on building their own relationship identity, rather than maintaining dependency patterns that might prevent authentic partnership development and professional advancement." Quote, "The psychological manipulation had been sophisticated and strategic, using contemporary relationship terminology and apparent professional expertise to create pressure for family isolation, while positioning Claire's demands as evidence of mature relationship thinking rather than systematic manipulation, designed to eliminate protective oversight and independent advice that might interfere with her control objectives and business exploitation planning." Claire had supplemented her direct manipulation of David with systematic research into relationship counseling resources and marriage preparation materials that supported her narrative about family boundary requirements and partnership independence, creating apparent legitimacy for her isolation demands, while concealing her true objectives for gaining exclusive influence over David's thinking and decision-making processes. Claire showed me several articles and relationship books that explain how important it is for couples to establish their own traditions and priorities, rather than feeling obligated to maintain family patterns that might not be appropriate for their individual relationship needs, David had explained when discussing Claire's systematic pressure for reduced family involvement and tradition modification that would prioritize their marriage relationship over established family connections and collaborative problem-solving. The manipulation had been particularly effective because it exploited David's genuine desire to be a good partner and his natural concern about balancing family loyalty with romantic relationship development that required attention and energy throughout engagement and marriage preparation activities. But what made Claire's approach especially insidious was her systematic use of relationship counseling concepts and marriage preparation terminology to create apparent professional legitimacy for demands that actually represented classic isolation tactics used by manipulative individuals to gain control over their target's social environment and decision-making processes. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a family therapist who had provided consultation throughout my hospitality career when dealing with difficult family dynamics and event planning situations, had explained during our professional discussion about Claire's behavioral patterns that this type of manipulation was characteristic of sophisticated predators who understood how to exploit contemporary relationship culture and therapeutic language to normalize abusive behavior and systematic control. The use of relationship counseling terminology and marriage preparation concepts to justify isolation demands represents a particularly sophisticated form of manipulation, Dr. Mitchell had explained during consultation about Claire's systematic tactics and strategic objectives. She's essentially weaponizing healthy relationship concepts to achieve unhealthy control and manipulation that would be immediately recognizable as abusive behavior if presented without the professional terminology and apparent therapeutic legitimacy. The second phase of Claire's campaign involved systematic scheduling conflicts and competing social obligations that forced David to choose between family involvement and relationship priorities, creating ongoing pressure that gradually normalized family exclusion while positioning Claire's demands as reasonable requests for partnership attention and romantic relationship development. The systematic scheduling had begun with strategic conflicts during our traditional Tuesday dinner gatherings, where Claire would arrange professional networking events, social obligations, or romantic activities that required David's presence during family time, forcing him to cancel family plans or arrive late for gatherings that had previously provided consistent connection and communication opportunities. Claire has been invited to several important professional events and social gatherings that could really benefit both of our careers, David had explained when beginning to miss family dinners and tradition participation. She thinks it's important for us to prioritize activities that will enhance our professional development and social advancement as a couple, even if it means adjusting some family scheduling and tradition participation. Quote, "The competing obligations had been strategically designed to appear legitimate and beneficial for David's career and social development, making family resistance seem selfish and unreasonable, while actually implementing systematic isolation that reduced his access to alternative perspectives and independent advice that might help him recognize manipulation patterns and strategic exploitation." But perhaps most concerning was Claire's systematic effort to reframe family traditions and gatherings as obligations and burdens, rather than opportunities for connection and mutual support, gradually changing David's perception of family relationships, from positive resources to competitive threats that interfered with his romantic happiness and partnership development. "Claire has helped me understand that some family expectations and traditions might actually be preventing me from fully investing in our relationship development," David had mentioned during conversations about family involvement and relationship priorities. "She's shown me that maintaining too much family involvement can create divided loyalty and prevent couples from building the kind of intimate partnership that's necessary for successful marriage relationships." The systematic reframing had been particularly effective because it exploited normal concerns about balancing competing relationships and social obligations, while actually implementing classic manipulation tactics designed to isolate targets from support systems and independent advice sources that might interfere with predatory control and exploitation. Claire had also begun systematic criticism of family business management and decision-making approaches, positioning herself as more sophisticated and contemporary in her thinking, while undermining confidence in family wisdom and collaborative problem-solving that had provided stability and guidance throughout David's adult development and professional advancement. "Your mother's business approaches reflect her generation's conservative thinking, but we could probably achieve much better results with more aggressive networking strategies and modern business development techniques," Claire had told David during discussions about professional planning and industry strategy that had previously involved collaborative family consultation and business guidance. The business criticism had been designed to establish Claire as the primary source of strategic thinking and professional guidance, while eliminating family influence over business decisions that could affect access to industry resources and professional planning that Claire ultimately intended to control and exploit for her personal advancement and lifestyle enhancement. The third phase of Claire's campaign involved direct confrontation and systematic disrespect designed to provoke family conflict that could justify complete exclusion and permanent relationship termination that would eliminate any remaining obstacles to her control over David's social environment and business decision-making throughout their marriage and family resource access. The confrontational phase had begun during family gathering in late summer 2023, when Claire started making pointed comments about outdated family dynamics and traditional relationship patterns that supposedly prevented healthy modern partnership development and individual growth that required independence from family influence and collaborative decision-making. "I think some families have difficulty accepting when adult children grow up and develop their own priorities and relationship commitments," Claire had announced during Tuesday dinner conversation that had previously focused on positive family updates and collaborative problem-solving. "It's important for married couples to establish their own autonomy and decision-making authority, rather than being controlled by family expectations that don't respect their adult independence and partnership development." The comments had been strategically designed to create tension and awkwardness, while positioning family relationships as inappropriate control rather than healthy mutual support and collaborative guidance that had enhanced rather than limited David's individual development and professional success throughout his adult life. But what made Claire's confrontational approach particularly manipulative was her systematic use of therapeutic language and relationship counseling concepts to make family resistance appear pathological and unhealthy, while presenting her demands for complete control as evidence of mature relationship thinking and healthy boundary establishment. Claire has been studying relationship dynamics and family systems theory, and she's helped me understand some problematic patterns in our family interaction, that might be preventing healthy adult development. David had explained when discussing Claire's systematic criticism and confrontational behavior toward family relationships and tradition maintenance. The confrontational tactics had been designed to provoke defensive responses from family members that could be used to justify complete exclusion and permanent relationship termination, creating apparent legitimacy for Claire's isolation demands, while actually implementing systematic manipulation and control that served her business exploitation and social climbing objectives. During the fall of 2023, Claire's confrontational behavior escalated to include direct challenges to family authority and systematic attempts to redefine family hierarchy and decision-making responsibility that would position her as the primary influence over David's thinking and resource allocation throughout their marriage and family relationship development. The authority challenges had focused particularly on business decision-making and family resource allocation, where Claire systematically questioned family expertise and collaborative approaches while positioning herself as more qualified and contemporary in her strategic thinking and business management understanding. I've been researching modern business management strategies and networking approaches, and I think David and I could achieve much better professional results through independent planning rather than relying on traditional family business management that might not be optimized for contemporary market conditions and advancement opportunities. Claire had announced during family gathering that had included discussion about wedding expenses and business planning coordination. The systematic challenges to family business authority had been designed to establish Claire's credibility and expertise while undermining confidence in family wisdom and collaborative decision-making that protected resources and provided strategic guidance based on decades of professional experience and successful business preservation throughout multiple generations. But perhaps most revealing was Claire's obvious frustration when family business structures and professional arrangements prevented her from gaining immediate access to resources and decision-making authority that she apparently expected to receive through marriage, relationship, and family integration that would provide lifestyle enhancement and social advancement opportunities. I don't understand why family business arrangements are so complicated and restrictive, Claire had complained to David during conversations about industry structures and professional planning that limited spousal access and maintained family control over resource allocation and major expenditure approval. Most modern families have much simpler arrangements that provide more flexibility and autonomy for married couples to make their own business decisions without extensive family oversight and approval requirements. The complaints about family business structures had revealed Claire's true objectives for marriage and family integration, demonstrating that her primary interest involved accessing family resources and eliminating protective oversight, rather than building genuine family relationships, and contributing to family unity and tradition maintenance throughout long-term partnership development. The fourth phase of Claire's campaign involved systematic exclusion of family members from wedding planning and celebration preparation, designed to establish her complete control over social arrangements and family relationship dynamics, while eliminating opportunities for family input and collaborative decision-making that might interfere with her strategic objectives for social advancement and business exploitation. The exclusion tactics had begun with systematic limitation of family involvement in venue selection and celebration planning, where Claire insisted on maintaining complete control over arrangements and vendor coordination, while rejecting family suggestions and collaborative input that had traditionally characterized family milestone celebrations and tradition development. Claire wants to handle most of the wedding planning independently because she has specific vision and professional expertise in event coordination that will ensure everything meets her standards and social expectations, David had explained when discussing reduced family involvement in wedding preparation and celebration planning. She thinks too much family input might compromise the coherent aesthetic and social presentation that she's working to achieve for our celebration and community introduction. The systematic exclusion from wedding planning had been presented as professional competence and aesthetic coordination, but it had actually represented deliberate elimination of family influence and oversight that might reveal Claire's true priorities and strategic objectives for social climbing and business advancement through marriage relationship exploitation. But what made Claire's wedding planning control particularly concerning was her systematic rejection of family business connections and vendor relationships that could have provided superior service quality and cost advantages, instead insisting on vendors and service providers who might offer social networking opportunities and advancement benefits rather than optimal celebration arrangements and family satisfaction. I prefer to work with vendors who understand contemporary wedding trends and social expectations, rather than relying on traditional family business connections that might not be appropriate for our generation's celebration standards. Claire had explained when declining to utilize Premier Catering Solutions and other family-connected service providers that could have enhanced celebration quality while supporting family business relationships. The systematic rejection of family business connections had been presented as modern wedding planning and vendor selection optimization, but it had actually represented strategic elimination of family oversight and quality control that might interfere with Claire's manipulation objectives while preventing family business involvement that could reveal her true character and strategic priorities. Claire had also systematically excluded family members from pre-wedding social events and celebration activities, including engagement parties, bridal showers, and bachelor/bachelorette celebrations that traditionally provided opportunities for family relationship building and community integration that enhanced rather than threatened romantic partnership development. We've decided to keep our pre-wedding celebrations relatively small and focused on our closest friends and most important professional relationships, Claire had announced when discussing social event planning that excluded longtime family friends and community connections. We want to prioritize people who are most relevant to our current social and professional development, rather than feeling obligated to include everyone who has historical family connections. The systematic exclusion of family friends and community connections had been designed to eliminate people who might provide alternative perspectives and independent observations about Claire's behavior and motivations that could interfere with her manipulation and control throughout relationship development and family resource access. But perhaps most manipulative was Claire's systematic effort to redefine family social hierarchy and celebration protocols in ways that positioned her as the primary authority and decision-maker, while reducing my role and influence to peripheral participation that acknowledged her superior status and social sophistication. Claire thinks it would be more appropriate for the celebration arrangements to reflect contemporary family dynamics and modern relationship priorities rather than traditional patterns that might not be relevant to our generation's social expectations and partnership development, David had explained when discussing modified family involvement and tradition adaptation that reduced collaborative planning and eliminated established celebration patterns. The systematic redefinition of family celebration protocols had been designed to establish precedent for Claire's authority and control over family social arrangements, while demonstrating her ability to modify or eliminate family traditions that might interfere with her strategic objectives for social advancement and resource access. During the winter months leading up to the spring wedding, Claire's exclusion tactics escalated to include direct challenges to my authority and systematic attempts to establish herself as the primary family matriarch and decision-maker for social arrangements and business resource allocation that would affect future family dynamics and tradition maintenance. The authority challenges had included systematic criticism of family celebration traditions and social arrangements, where Claire positioned established patterns as outdated and inappropriate for contemporary family dynamics and modern social expectations that required adaptation and modernization under her guidance and strategic direction. I think some of the traditional family celebration patterns reflect outdated social expectations that don't really fit with contemporary relationship culture and modern family dynamics, Claire had announced during discussion about wedding celebration planning and family tradition modification. David and I want to establish our own family traditions and social patterns that reflect our values and priorities, rather than feeling constrained by historical patterns that might not be appropriate for our lifestyle and social development. The systematic criticism of family traditions had been designed to justify complete elimination of established patterns, while positioning Claire as the authority for creating new family social arrangements that would serve her strategic objectives for control and resource access, rather than maintaining family unity and collaborative relationship development. Claire had also begun systematic attempts to control family communication and information flow, limiting my access to wedding planning details and celebration arrangements, while positioning herself as the primary source of information and decision-making authority for family members who wanted to participate in celebration activities and social events. Claire prefers to coordinate most of the family communication about wedding arrangements because she has all the detailed information and vendor contacts that are necessary for effective coordination, David had explained when discussing reduced family communication and collaborative planning that had traditionally characterized family milestone celebrations and community event coordination. The systematic control of family communication had been designed to eliminate opportunities for family oversight and independent evaluation of Claire's behavior and decision-making, while establishing her authority over family social arrangements and celebration planning that would demonstrate her control and influence over family dynamics and tradition development. But what made Claire's communication control particularly manipulative was her systematic misrepresentation of family preferences and collaborative input, where she would claim to represent family consensus while actually implementing her individual preferences and strategic objectives without genuine consultation or collaborative decision-making that respected family wisdom and relationship priorities. Claire mentioned that the family agreed to simplify some of the traditional celebration elements to focus on more contemporary arrangements that would enhance the social presentation and community impact. David had said during conversation about modified wedding plans that had never been discussed or approved through family consultation and collaborative decision-making processes. The systematic misrepresentation of family input and collaborative planning had been designed to establish legitimacy for Claire's individual decisions while eliminating actual family involvement and oversight that might interfere with her strategic objectives for social advancement and business resource access through marriage relationship exploitation. By early 2024, as the wedding date approached and celebration arrangements became finalized, Claire's systematic exclusion and manipulation campaign had achieved substantial success in isolating David from family influence and establishing her control over social arrangements and business resource allocation that would affect their marriage relationship and family dynamics throughout future development and tradition maintenance. The wedding planning process had revealed Claire's true priorities and strategic objectives, demonstrating that her primary interest involved social advancement and lifestyle enhancement rather than genuine family integration and relationship development that would enhance rather than threaten family unity and collaborative problem-solving throughout marriage partnership and community involvement. But perhaps most revealing was Claire's systematic effort to establish expensive lifestyle expectations and social obligations that would require ongoing family business support and industry access that exceeded David's individual professional income and investment resources, creating systematic dependency on family connections while eliminating family oversight and collaborative input that might prevent business exploitation and systematic manipulation. Our wedding celebration and honeymoon plans reflect the kind of lifestyle and social presentation that will enhance our professional development and community influence, Claire had explained when discussing expensive celebration arrangements and luxury travel plans that exceeded reasonable budget parameters, and suggested systematic planning for family business exploitation and resource access. The expensive lifestyle expectations had been presented as professional development and social advancement opportunities, but they had actually represented systematic establishment of financial dependency and resource access requirements that would enable Claire's long-term exploitation of family business connections, while eliminating protective oversight and collaborative decision-making that preserved resources and maintained family unity across multiple generations. The most concerning aspect of Claire's systematic campaign had been her obvious contempt for family service industry background and hospitality business connections, which she consistently portrayed as outdated and beneath her social aspirations and professional advancement goals that required more sophisticated networking and industry involvement. I think David deserves to be associated with more prestigious business connections and social circles than traditional service industry relationships, Claire had mentioned during conversations about professional networking and social advancement that revealed her fundamental misunderstanding of hospitality industry influence and business value throughout community development and economic influence. The systematic devaluation of family business connections had been designed to justify eliminating family involvement and oversight, while positioning Claire as the authority for determining appropriate social and professional relationships that would serve her advancement objectives, rather than maintaining family business legacy and industry influence that had taken generations to build and preserve. But Claire's most catastrophic mistake had been her systematic dismissal of my professional background and industry expertise as irrelevant to contemporary business success and social advancement, apparently believing that hospitality industry experience represented outdated service work rather than sophisticated business management and vendor relationship coordination that could control event planning and celebration success throughout community social circles. I don't think traditional hospitality industry approaches are really relevant to modern event planning and social networking, Claire had told David during discussions about wedding planning and vendor selection, that had eliminated family business involvement and professional guidance. We need to focus on contemporary approaches and relationships that will enhance our social positioning, rather than relying on outdated industry connections that might not provide the advancement opportunities we're looking for. The systematic dismissal of family business expertise had revealed Claire's complete misunderstanding of hospitality industry power and influence, demonstrating that she had no comprehension of the vendor relationships and service coordination capabilities that could make or break celebration events and social presentations throughout community influence and reputation management. The systematic campaign that Claire had implemented throughout their engagement period represented comprehensive preparation for family manipulation and resource exploitation that would culminate in the wedding day exclusion and humiliation that finally provided clear justification for implementing devastating hospitality industry consequences and permanent exclusion from family resources that would eliminate her access to business connections and lifestyle enhancement that she had systematically planned to obtain through marriage relationship exploitation. But Claire had made the catastrophic mistake of underestimating exactly who she was attempting to manipulate and exclude from family celebrations and decision-making authority. The woman she had systematically dismissed and marginalized was about to demonstrate that some grandmothers possess professional expertise and industry authority that could eliminate your entire social climbing strategy with systematic precision and permanent consequences that would serve as lasting warning to anyone else who might consider similar family manipulation and business exploitation attempts. The systematic campaign had been comprehensive, the manipulation tactics had been sophisticated, and Claire's strategic objectives had been clearly documented through months of behavioral observation and evidence collection that would support devastating hospitality industry retaliation and complete elimination of access to family resources that represented the most comprehensive social and culinary destruction that anyone in our community's history had ever experienced. Have you ever witnessed someone implement such a systematic campaign of manipulation and family destruction while believing they were too clever to face consequences? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. Because Claire's systematic campaign was about to encounter exactly the kind of devastating response that demonstrates why targeting someone's family relationships and attempting to exploit their resources based on assumptions about powerlessness could be the most expensive miscalculation anyone pursuing social advancement through manipulation could ever make. If you're following this story of systematic manipulation and strategic consequences, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Tomorrow, I'll reveal exactly how I had been systematically documenting Claire's behavior and building the evidence file that would support the most comprehensive hospitality industry destruction that anyone in our family's history had ever implemented in response to systematic disrespect and family exploitation attempts. What Claire had never suspected during her 18-month campaign of systematic manipulation and family exclusion was that every single instance of disrespectful behavior, every strategic comment, and every calculated attempt at family isolation had been meticulously documented through professional-grade evidence collection and behavioral analysis that would provide comprehensive justification for the most devastating hospitality industry consequences that anyone in our family's history had ever experienced. My background in family business protection and systematic threat assessment had provided exactly the expertise necessary for recognizing manipulation patterns from their earliest stages and implementing comprehensive documentation protocols that would support immediate and permanent exclusion from family resources when Claire's behavior finally escalated to the point where decisive action became both justified and necessary for protecting family assets and relationship integrity. The documentation process hadn't been casual record-keeping for personal reference, but rather professional-grade evidence collection that included detailed behavioral observations, systematic pattern analysis, comprehensive supporting documentation, and expert consultation that could meet legal standards for business management and beneficiary evaluation in any court proceeding or legal challenge that might result from hospitality industry consequences and resource termination. From Claire's very first Tuesday dinner appearance, I had maintained systematic records of her behavior, conversation patterns, and strategic objectives using the same analytical frameworks and evidence collection techniques that had characterized my 35-year hospitality career and family business protection expertise. Every concerning comment, every manipulation attempt, and every warning sign had been documented with professional precision and legal thoroughness that would support immediate protective action when circumstances finally justified intervention. The evidence files included comprehensive documentation of Claire's systematic questioning about family business arrangements, her strategic criticism of family traditions and decision-making processes, her deliberate scheduling conflicts and isolation tactics, and her escalating demands for control over family social arrangements and resource allocation that revealed her true objectives for marriage and family integration. But perhaps most importantly, the documentation included expert analysis and professional consultation that confirmed Claire's behavior represented systematic manipulation and family exploitation, rather than normal relationship adjustment challenges or personality conflicts that might be resolved through improved communication and mutual understanding between family members working toward collaborative problem solving. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the family therapist who specialized in hospitality industry dynamics and wealth-related relationship manipulation, had provided comprehensive analysis of Claire's behavioral patterns and strategic objectives throughout the documentation period, confirming that her systematic approach represented classic predatory behavior designed to gain access to family resources, while eliminating protective oversight and independent advice that might interfere with business exploitation and control objectives. Claire's systematic isolation tactics, authority challenges, and resource access demands demonstrate classic patterns of sophisticated family manipulation designed to gain access to established business connections through marriage exploitation. Dr. Mitchell had explained during professional consultation sessions that provided expert analysis and strategic guidance for protective intervention planning. The behavioral evidence indicates comprehensive planning for business exploitation rather than genuine family integration and relationship development that would enhance family unity and collaborative decision-making. The expert psychological analysis had been supplemented by legal consultation with business planning specialists and contract management experts, who confirmed that Claire's behavior violated multiple partnership requirements and family unity standards that governed access to Blackstone family resources under the collaborative authority provisions that protected family business interests from manipulation and systematic exploitation attempts. Attorney Robert Chen, who specialized in family business protection and hospitality industry management, had reviewed the comprehensive evidence documentation and confirmed that Claire's systematic manipulation and family exclusion tactics provided sufficient justification for immediate termination of business support and permanent exclusion from family resources under the protective provisions that governed beneficiary access and family resource allocation. The systematic nature of Claire's manipulation campaign and her obvious strategic objectives for resource access and family control clearly violate the family unity requirements and respectful behavior standards that govern access to business fund resources, Attorney Chen had explained during legal consultation about protective intervention options and immediate response capabilities. The documented evidence provides comprehensive justification for immediate termination of benefits and permanent exclusion from family business support under the collaborative authority provisions that were specifically designed to prevent exactly this type of manipulation and exploitation. The legal analysis had confirmed that immediate business consequences could be implemented without extended court proceedings or complex judicial review, requiring only formal notification to catering personnel and vendor administrators who would immediately freeze designated accounts and terminate ongoing service arrangements that had been provided based on presumed family member status and commitment to family values and relationship unity. But beyond professional documentation and expert analysis, I had also implemented comprehensive technological surveillance and communication monitoring that provided real-time evidence of Claire's strategic planning and systematic manipulation attempts, including digital communications and social media activities that revealed her true motivations and long-term objectives for family exploitation and resource access. The technological surveillance had been conducted through legitimate monitoring of family communication systems and social media platforms, where Claire had documented her strategic thinking and manipulation tactics, while apparently believing that family members lacked the technical capability or legal authority to access digital evidence that could support protective intervention and business consequences. Claire's social media communications with her professional network and personal friends had included multiple instances of strategic commentary about family business access and manipulation tactics, revealing her systematic planning for business exploitation and resource control that confirmed expert analysis about her predatory objectives and systematic manipulation campaign. Finally, making progress on accessing the family hospitality connections, Claire had written in private social media communications with her college roommate during the engagement period. "The old lady is definitely the main obstacle, but I'm working on strategies to eliminate her influence and establish my own control over the business decision-making. David is already starting to prioritize our relationship over family input, and I think I can complete the isolation process before the wedding if I handle things correctly. The digital communications had provided comprehensive evidence of Claire's strategic objectives and systematic planning for family manipulation, demonstrating clear intent for business exploitation and resource access that violated all family unity requirements and beneficiary standards that governed business fund access and family financial support throughout established legal arrangements and protective protocols. Additional digital evidence had included Claire's systematic research into family business structures and hospitality industry arrangements, revealing extensive investigation into vendor contracts and resource protection protocols that indicated comprehensive planning for circumventing protective measures and gaining unauthorized access to family resources through legal challenges and systematic manipulation of family relationship dynamics. Been researching hospitality industry structures and business partnership law to understand what options might be available for challenging the current arrangements and gaining better access to vendor resources. Claire had documented in private communications about family business analysis and strategic planning. The protective language is pretty comprehensive, but I think there might be opportunities to argue for spousal rights and contemporary family structure recognition that could override some of the traditional control mechanisms. The systematic research into family business structures had confirmed Claire's strategic objectives for resource access and her sophisticated understanding of legal challenges and manipulation tactics that could potentially threaten family asset protection and business preservation if allowed to continue without decisive intervention and protective response. The wedding day itself had provided the final and most devastating evidence of Claire's true character and systematic disrespect for family relationships and collaborative traditions that had characterized Blackstone family celebrations and milestone events throughout multiple generations of business building and community involvement. The wedding ceremony at Riverside Country Club had been elaborate and expensive, funded entirely through family business resources and celebration support allocations that had been provided based on presumed family unity and collaborative celebration planning that would enhance rather than threaten family relationships and social traditions throughout community involvement and milestone recognition. But instead of demonstrating appreciation for family business support and collaborative celebration planning, Claire had used the wedding day as an opportunity to implement the most systematic and public humiliation of family relationships that anyone in our social circle had ever witnessed, revealing her true priorities and strategic objectives through behavior that eliminated any remaining justification for continued family resource access and business support. The systematic exclusion from wedding participation had been the culmination of months of strategic planning and preparation designed to establish Claire's social dominance and eliminate family representation from celebration activities that would reflect her vision of appropriate family hierarchy and social recognition, rather than collaborative celebration and inclusive family tradition maintenance. I want the wedding arrangements to reflect our social circle and professional network rather than including everyone who claims family connection, Claire had instructed the event coordinators, using language that revealed her systematic planning for family exclusion and social status demonstration rather than celebration of family relationships and tradition continuation. But the most devastating evidence of Claire's character had been her direct verbal humiliation when I had approached the reception area during family celebration arrangements, hoping to participate in traditional family activities that had traditionally included comprehensive family representation and multi-generational recognition throughout milestone events and social celebrations. The moment that would change everything occurred during the cocktail hour, when I had approached the family seating area to find my designated place at what I had assumed would be the family table. Claire had been standing near the reception coordinator, making final adjustments to seating arrangements and apparently ensuring that everything met her specific social presentation requirements. "Excuse me," I had said politely to the reception coordinator. "I'm Eleanor Blackstone, David's mother. Could you help me find my seat?" What happened next would be burned into my memory forever, and more importantly, would provide the final piece of evidence needed to justify the most comprehensive hospitality industry retaliation that anyone in our community had ever experienced. Claire had turned around with an expression of complete disdain and announced loudly enough for nearby guests and staff members to hear, "Oh, you must be confused about your role here today. This reception is for invited guests and immediate family only. You look like you're probably part of the catering staff who wandered away from the kitchen. The help needs to stay in the service areas where you belong." The public humiliation had been systematic and deliberate, designed to establish Claire's social authority and eliminate family recognition while demonstrating her complete control over celebration arrangements and social hierarchy that prioritized her vision over established family relationships and collaborative tradition maintenance. When I had attempted to clarify my identity and family relationship, Claire had escalated her humiliation campaign with even more devastating public disrespect that would provide comprehensive justification for immediate and permanent consequences. "Listen, I don't know who you think you are, but this is my wedding reception and I decide who belongs here," Claire had said with obvious satisfaction at having an audience for her power display. "Security needs to escort this woman back to the kitchen, where the help belongs, and make sure the catering staff understands that they need to stay in their designated service areas, instead of bothering our guests." The wedding coordinator, clearly uncomfortable with the situation, had attempted to intervene. "Mrs. Whitfield, I believe there may be some confusion. This is Mrs. Blackstone, David's mother," quote. But Claire had cut off the explanation with the final words that would seal her fate. "I don't care what she claims. She's obviously just some random kitchen worker trying to crash our reception. Get her back to where she belongs with the rest of the help, and make sure the catering manager knows their staff needs better supervision." The systematic and public humiliation had been witnessed by approximately 20 wedding guests and staff members, providing comprehensive documentation of Claire's character and strategic objectives that eliminated any possibility of claiming misunderstanding or innocent mistakes that might justify forgiveness or relationship repair. But Claire had made the catastrophic mistake of publicly humiliating someone whose professional expertise and business authority provided immediate capability for eliminating her access to the family hospitality resources that had funded her entire wedding celebration and would have supported her anticipated luxury lifestyle and social advancement throughout marriage relationship and community involvement. Within minutes of the reception humiliation, I had initiated systematic communication with catering administrators and vendor personnel who implemented immediate activation of emergency service termination protocol under collaborative authority provisions for documented violation of family unity requirements and systematic beneficiary disqualification. This is Eleanor Blackstone requesting immediate implementation of emergency service termination protocol under collaborative authority provisions for documented violation of family unity requirements and systematic beneficiary disqualification. I had communicated to Premier Catering Solutions management using established emergency response procedures for immediate service protection and consequence implementation. The emergency protocols had been activated within 20 minutes of the wedding day humiliation, immediately implementing comprehensive service termination and vendor coordination shutdown that eliminated all catering and hospitality support arrangements that had been providing wedding celebration coordination, reception service management, and ongoing event support resources that Claire had been systematically planning to access throughout celebration activities and social presentation. The immediate hospitality consequences had included termination of all food service and beverage coordination that had been allocated for reception celebration activities, elimination of staff service and event coordination support that had been providing comprehensive venue management, and permanent exclusion from all future family hospitality resources and vendor access that had been contingent on family unity maintenance and respectful behavior standards. But perhaps most devastating was the systematic implementation of vendor network consequences that extended far beyond Premier Catering Solutions to include comprehensive service termination and resource elimination from virtually every hospitality provider and event coordination company throughout Millbrook's social event planning industry. James Morrison, the executive chef and culinary director for Premier Catering Solutions, had implemented immediate kitchen shutdown and food service termination that eliminated all meal preparation and beverage service that had been scheduled for the reception celebration, requiring immediate alternative arrangements and vendor replacement that would be impossible to coordinate on such short notice. Eleanor's emergency authorization provides immediate justification for comprehensive service termination and vendor network notification, James had explained during emergency coordination calls with hospitality industry partners throughout Millbrook's event planning community. The systematic disrespect and family humiliation documented at this event violates every professional standard and collaborative relationship principle that governs our industry partnerships and service coordination. Sarah Mitchell, the event coordination director who managed comprehensive logistics and vendor relationship development for Premier Catering Solutions, had implemented immediate communication with the entire Millbrook hospitality industry network, notifying premium vendors and service providers about Claire's behavior and ensuring that comprehensive service denial would extend throughout the regional event planning community. The professional networks and vendor relationships that Eleanor has developed throughout her career provide systematic capability for implementing industry-wide service termination and resource denial. Sarah had noted during emergency vendor coordination that ensured Claire's social humiliation would extend far beyond the immediate wedding day consequences. The hospitality industry operates on professional relationships and mutual respect, and systematic violation of these principles results in permanent exclusion from premium service access. Michael Chen, the financial director and business development manager who handled contract enforcement and vendor relationship management for Premier Catering Solutions, had implemented immediate financial consequence protocols that required comprehensive reimbursement of all wedding-related expenses and celebration funding that had been provided through family business resources. The systematic documentation and behavioral evidence provides comprehensive justification for immediate financial consequences and permanent exclusion from family business resources. Michael had confirmed during emergency financial consultation and protective intervention coordination. The contractual obligations and service agreements include specific language about respectful behavior and family unity requirements that justify complete service termination and financial restitution under established protective provisions. The immediate aftermath of hospitality industry consequence implementation had been swift and comprehensive, eliminating Claire's access to all celebration resources while requiring immediate lifestyle adjustment and social obligation management that would affect her community standing and professional development for years following the wedding day humiliation and systematic manipulation campaign. The reception celebration termination had required immediate food service replacement and vendor coordination that was impossible to achieve on wedding day notice, resulting in substantial celebration failures and social embarrassment that affected Claire's reputation and professional credibility throughout Millbrook's social circles and business networks. The catering staff had been instructed to pack up all food preparation and service equipment immediately, leaving the reception venue without meal service or beverage coordination for the remaining celebration hours. The elaborate 5-course dinner that had been planned as the centerpiece of Claire's social presentation had been replaced by hastily arranged pizza delivery and cash bar service that transformed her sophisticated celebration into a community-level gathering that reflected none of the social status and professional presentation she had systematically planned. But perhaps most devastating was the systematic implementation of vendor network exclusion that extended throughout Millbrook's hospitality industry, ensuring that Claire would be permanently excluded from premium event planning services and social celebration coordination that could affect her future social advancement and community influence throughout her marriage and professional development. The vendor network consequences had included permanent service denial from virtually every premium catering company, event planning organization, and hospitality service provider throughout the regional community, creating systematic barriers to social celebration and professional networking that would affect Claire's ability to maintain the lifestyle and social presentation that had motivated her systematic family manipulation and exploitation campaign. David had been devastated by the immediate hospitality consequences and the systematic revelation of Claire's manipulation campaign and strategic exploitation objectives that had characterized their entire relationship development and engagement planning, from initial family introduction through wedding celebration and anticipated marriage lifestyle enhancement. "I can't believe I was so completely manipulated and used," David had said during family reconciliation conversations following the wedding day hospitality consequences and comprehensive evidence revelation. Claire's systematic approach to family isolation and resource access was so sophisticated that I never recognized the manipulation patterns until seeing the documented evidence and professional analysis that revealed her true motivations and strategic objectives. The family reconciliation had been immediate and comprehensive, based on David's recognition of systematic manipulation and genuine appreciation for family protection and professional expertise that had prevented devastating business exploitation and resource theft that could have affected his professional reputation and personal security throughout marriage relationship and community involvement. I finally understand how much family wisdom and protection I lost when I allowed Claire to systematically isolate me from collaborative decision-making and independent advice that had always provided strategic guidance and protective oversight. David had acknowledged during family relationship restoration discussions that re-established healthy communication patterns and collaborative problem-solving that had characterized our family dynamics for over 3 decades. The professional counseling and family therapy that followed the wedding day hospitality consequences had provided comprehensive analysis of manipulation tactics and systematic exploitation attempts that enhanced David's understanding of predatory behavior and protective measures that would prevent similar manipulation throughout future relationship development and family resource management. Dr. Sarah Mitchell had provided specialized therapy and education about family manipulation and business-related exploitation that helped David understand systematic recognition of warning signs and protective strategies that would preserve both family relationships and business security throughout future romantic partnerships and social development. The systematic manipulation that Claire employed represents some of the most sophisticated family exploitation tactics that target established business connections through strategic relationship development, Dr. Mitchell had explained during therapeutic consultation and family education sessions. Understanding these patterns and warning signs will provide crucial protection against similar threats throughout future social relationships and family resource management. The comprehensive hospitality industry victory and systematic consequence implementation had resulted in complete restoration of family relationships and permanent protection against future manipulation attempts, while providing systematic deterrent against similar predatory behavior by other social climbers and business opportunists who might consider targeting Blackstone family resources for systematic exploitation and manipulation. Claire's systematic social and business destruction had become comprehensive warning throughout Millbrook's social circles and professional networks, demonstrating the devastating consequences that could result from attempting to manipulate family relationships and exploit established business connections through marriage relationship development and systematic family isolation that eliminated protective oversight and collaborative decision-making. The wedding day humiliation that Claire had intended as demonstration of her social dominance and family control had instead triggered the most systematic hospitality industry destruction and social consequences that anyone in our community's history had ever experienced, proving that publicly humiliating someone based on assumptions about their powerlessness and irrelevance could be the most catastrophically expensive mistake that anyone pursuing social advancement through family manipulation could ever make. The final documentation and evidence preservation had been systematic and comprehensive, creating permanent industry precedent and community awareness that would protect other business families from similar manipulation and exploitation attempts, while serving as lasting deterrent against predatory behavior and systematic family targeting throughout social and professional networks. The business structures and protective measures that had enabled immediate hospitality consequences and comprehensive resource recovery had been recognized throughout the event planning industry as representing best practices for family business protection and systematic threat response that balanced security requirements with family autonomy and relationship quality preservation. Eleanor Blackstone's systematic approach to threat detection and comprehensive protective response represents exactly the kind of professional expertise and strategic preparation that enables families to maintain their business relationships and industry influence across multiple generations. Regional hospitality industry analyst Patricia Rodriguez had written in Professional Evaluation that became part of industry training materials for business protection and family security management. But perhaps most importantly, the systematic justice and comprehensive hospitality consequences had demonstrated that some elderly women possess professional expertise and industry authority that could destroy social climbing campaigns with surgical precision and permanent effectiveness, proving that appearances could be deceiving and that underestimating someone based on age and perceived vulnerability could trigger devastating retaliation that would serve as permanent warning to anyone else who might consider similar exploitation and manipulation attempts. Eleanor Blackstone had spent 35 years building exactly the kind of professional expertise and systematic resource access that would enable comprehensive response to social threats and family exploitation attempts, and Claire had become the perfect case study in why attempting to manipulate and publicly humiliate someone whose background and capabilities had been specifically designed to control hospitality industry resources was the most catastrophically stupid social and business mistake that anyone in the pursuit of advancement could ever make. The wedding day that was supposed to launch Claire's social climbing campaign and establish her access to family business connections had instead become the trigger for systematic hospitality industry destruction and permanent social consequences that eliminated her lifestyle advancement and community influence, while providing lasting demonstration that family relationships and collaborative respect represent more than social obligations. They represent the foundation for business preservation and security that would be protected at any cost against systematic manipulation. The story that had begun with systematic manipulation and family destruction had ended with complete justice and permanent protection, proving that some grandmothers control hospitality industry resources and vendor authority that could eliminate your entire social climbing strategy with devastating precision and lasting consequences that would serve as comprehensive warning to anyone else who might consider targeting family relationships for systematic exploitation and business manipulation. Eleanor Blackstone had protected her family business connections and relationships through exactly the kind of systematic response that demonstrated why professional expertise and strategic preparation could provide devastating capability for eliminating threats and ensuring that attempts to destroy family unity would result in complete destruction of the perpetrators, rather than successful exploitation of resources and relationships that had taken generations to build and would be preserved through any means necessary. Have you ever witnessed such a complete reversal of fortune where someone's attempt at manipulation and control resulted in their own systematic destruction? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, because this story proves that real power often operates quietly until someone makes the mistake of forcing it into devastating action, and that publicly humiliating someone based on assumptions about their capabilities could be the most expensive social mistake you'll ever make. If you enjoyed this story of systematic justice and comprehensive consequences, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell for more stories about people who discovered the hard way that some elderly individuals possess exactly the right background and resources to destroy anyone who makes the mistake of targeting them for manipulation and exploitation based on false assumptions about powerlessness and irrelevance. Remember, real business power often operates through expertise and industry authority rather than obvious display, and the most dangerous people are often those who appear most harmless while possessing exactly the right professional background and systematic capabilities to eliminate anyone who attempts to exploit their families or manipulate their relationships for personal advantage and social advancement. Never underestimate someone based on appearance, age, or perceived social position, because you never know when that quiet elderly person might control millions of dollars in hospitality industry resources and possess 35 years of experience protecting business connections from people exactly like you, with the vendor authority and professional expertise to ensure that your manipulation attempts result in systematic industry destruction and permanent social consequences that serve as lasting warning to anyone else who might consider similar exploitation and family targeting for personal advancement and resources. The woman who called me the help learned that some grandmothers don't just attend weddings. We own the companies that make them possible. And when you treat the wrong person like hired staff, you might just discover that your entire celebration depends on someone whose professional courtesy you've just destroyed forever.